Alright guys, welcome back to another reaction video. My name is James.
Parental brush.
And today we have another reaction request we're going to be watching, Dead Poets Society. So this is one of my favorite movies. I have not seen it in a while, so it's very, I watched this as a teenager, which was kind of the perfect time to watch it. So I'm a little bit curious to revisit it, because obviously watching it as like a high schooler, it was an incredibly powerful movie. Like, it's kind of one of those movies. Okay. It's got Robin Williams, who if you don't know, you will start to see him in the things that we watch. He was a big comedian. He's the genie in Aladdin, but he was also like really good at dramatic roles. He was crazy all over the place, and he's unfortunately passed away, which is really sad because he's great.
Oh dang.
But yeah, this is a really good movie. I don't want to say too much about it. It's got Ethan Hawke in it, who you will probably see as an adult later and stuff that we watch too. But this was like his first role. He's like a baby in this movie. Okay. Anyway, it's a really cool movie. I really like it. There's not really much to say. It's just one of those self-contained, good old like 80s movies. Yeah. I love it. So yeah, as always, full-length reaction is going to be up on Patreon. If you guys want to make your own reaction requests, you can go ahead and check out our Patreon. It does really support us. We do have a limit on it, so we can only do 10 reactions a month, but we will pretty much watch anything you guys want us to watch, as long as it's not like too crazy violent or explicit or anything like that. But barring any of that sort of stuff, we're down to watch whatever you guys want to watch. So if you want to throw a reaction request in, go ahead and check that out. And yeah, we're gonna watch Dead Poets Society. Let's get into it. It's like some sort of private school, right?
Yeah. I mean, with the uniforms and all.
Yeah. That tradition, honor, like one of those.
I like the bagpipes.
Yeah, right. Bagpipes are so cool, dude. Bagpipes and anything for me is the coolest thing. I love bagpipes. They're always so cool.
Gentlemen, what are the four pillars? Vision, honor, discipline, excellence. And more than 75% of those went on to the Ivy League.
All right.
You will have the opportunity later to meet his replacement, Mr. John Keating. Himself an honors graduate of this school.
That's Robin Williams.
And for the past several years has been teaching at the highly regarded Chester School. Mr. Anderson, you have some big shoes to fill, young man. Your brother is one of our finest.
Yeah, no pressure.
There's a lot of expectation.
Yes.
And pressure.
Yes.
Why did they bound, Chris? My brother went here. Hey, I heard you got the new kid. Looks like a stiff. Oops.
Jeez, dude.
John, what are the four pillars? Prophecy, power, decadence, excellence. Steady. I'm sorry, my name is Stephen Meeks. Oh, this is Todd Anderson. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Shirley Dole. Knox Overstreet. Todd's brother was Jeffrey Anderson. Meeks. He flatters me. That's why I help him with Latin. I think that you're taking too many extracurricular activities this semester, and I've decided that you should drop school. But I'm the assistant editor this year. You never dispute me in public, you understand? I wasn't after you finish medical school and you're on your own, then you can do as you damn well please. But until then, you do as I tell you. Is that clear? Yes, sir. You don't mean I was taking on too much? Well, listen, you need anything, you let us know. Yes, sir. Yeah, you know. Tell them off. Couldn't get any worse. Well, that's rich. Like, you guys tell your parents off. Mr. Future Lawyer and Mr. Future Banker. Okay, so I don't like it any more than you do.
I mean, it's like everybody's rolling with it, right? It's what you got to do.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
it's not good. I'm just saying. I mean,
it's tough. Like, you can't. You know, I feel like it's hard to tell people how they should, raise their child and stuff. It's
of course
a difficult thing.
Well, and it's that balance. It's balance, like always, right? Because there's some people who won't do anything, right? And so you do need to push them.
Of course, it is. It's just hard to,
This is so on point.
Let's see how this
new teacher
professor is.
I think the way this movie films the student, like shows the students, is so on point too.
Yeah.
Like the way they react and stuff, it's so accurate.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Who knows where that comes from? It's from a poem by Walt Whitman about Mr. Abraham Lincoln. Now, in this class, you can either call me Mr. Keating, if you're slightly more daring. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Mr. Pitts. It's a rather unfortunate name. Mr. Pitts. Where are you? Mr. Pitts, you open hymn note to page 542. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Who knows what that means? Carpe diem. That to seize the day. Very good, Mr. Meeks. Meeks. Another unusual name. Why does the writer use these lines? Because he's in a hurry. No. Ding. You're playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. If you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in.
They're all like, what?
You don't touch this on that stuff. Come on, Cameron, don't you get anything?
I like following this kid. He's definitely like quieter, and that's interesting. Well played.
Mrs. Danbury?
I'm Mrs. Danbury.
Well, I mean,
How are you, Joe Danbury? Nice to meet you, sir. Well, he's a spitting image of his father, isn't he? How is he? Come here. He's great. Hugging it all. How was dinner? How was dinner? Terrible. I met the most beautiful girl I had ever seen in my entire life.
Oh no.
Crazy? What's wrong with that? She's practically engaged. A girl this beautiful would love such a jerk. All the good ones go for the jerks. You know that. Yeah, forget her. Open your trade book and try to figure out a problem. I can't just forget her, Cameron. And I certainly can't not trade. That wouldn't be a radio in your lap, would it? No, sir. Science experiment. To fully understand poetry, we must first be fluent with its meter, rhyme, and figures of speech. Then ask two questions. And calculating the total area of the poem yields
You
the
can't
measure
math
of greatness.
poetry?
That's what I think of Mr. J. Evans Pritchard. We're not playing a pipe. We're talking about poetry. How can you describe
He scribbles the whole page.
I like Byron. I give him a 42, but I can't dance to it. I want you to rip out that page. You heard me? Rip it out. Rip it out! Rip it, rip it out! I want to do nothing but the ripping of Mr. Pritchard. Put it on a roll. What the hell is going on here? I don't hear enough. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were here. I am. Keep ripping, gentlemen. This is a battle, a war, and the casualties could be your hearts and souls.
That's awkward, at least.
Going forward, Mr. Hopkins, you may agree with him, thinking, yes, we should simply study our Mr. Pritchard and learn our rhyme and meter and go quietly about the business of achieving other ambitions. We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion for poetry, beauty, romance, love. These are what we stay alive for. As the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse.
It's interesting, right?
that's cool.
Yeah. I feel like it's like he's one of them. He's not a teacher. And it's not that they don't respect him, but it's like he's a student. he was a student. He's a person. He can relate to them.
Yeah.
Not acidic. Of is.
I was just
So
about to say
acidic.
that.
Show me the heart unfettered by foolish dreams, and I'll show you a happy man. Only in their dreams can men be truly free.
Fine man, and a dead poet society. Man most likely to do anything. Die man. Mr. K was a hell raiser. What's it?
I mean, at the same time, he did teach at like some you know, he went to Cambridge. Like,
Yeah.
he still got stuff done.
What's the Dead Poets Society?
I doubt the present administration will look too favorably upon that.
Why?
See, we would gather at the old Indian cave, take turns reading from Thoreau, Whitman, Shelley, the biggies, even some of our own verses. And in the enchantment of the moment, we'd let poetry work its magic. Spirits soared, women swooned, and gods were created. Gentlemen, not a bad way to spend an evening, eh? Thank you, Mr. Perry, for this stroll down Amnesia Lake.
No, I mean, the question was he giving them a hint, or was he legitimately just like reminiscing?
Everybody in?
I mean, it feels like he was kind
Bring
of
on the stream, I know it is.
egging them on to something, you know?
Maybe.
Feels like that.
I think the coolest part about it is that he's not really pushing them in either direction. He's kind of letting them do their thing.
He's not telling them outright about
Yeah.
stuff.
No shit. Who's in? Oh, come on, Neil. Hager's the dead Hager. No. Who's in? I'm in. Oh. Me too. What about you, Knox? Come on, Knox. It'll help you get Chris. Yeah?
Now he's in. Oh my gosh. Dude, they gotta be careful, man. Because this is like serious private school. Like, this is not.
Yeah.
Oh,
Careful giving him
Oh my
treats
gosh.
is not good. 'Cause that was a lot of treats.
I know.
They might find that. Oh my goodness.
Honestly, I'd be more worried of coming back. That's always the sketch, because you don't know what's going on. You can't
Yeah.
check your surroundings. You can't listen.
You have to.
And then
just
it's like, what do you do?
hope.
Like, oh, I was out for a walk. Like, you're screwed. A little creepy.
just a bit.
Jeez.
Reminds me of you. Hitting your head on the
On the bed
bunk
every
bed.
time.
Oh my goodness.
The meetings will be conducted by myself and the other new initiates now present. Todd Anderson, because he prefers not to read, will keep minutes of the meetings. I'll now read the traditional opening message by Society member Henry David. You guys are always plumbing my smoke. Raisins? Yeah. Wait a minute.
Raisins?
You guys are half a roll. I'm eating the other half. Come on. The last thing that this old lady ever heard was the sound of breaking glass. Yes, this is true. This is true. I've got one vision. I could not turn from the river into riches. Then I saw it coming. Cutting through the forest with a golden trap. I saw it coming.
This guy's got it going.
That's cool. Can't go wrong.
Y'all better book.
Yeah.
Was it 1? 2?
Language was developed for one endeavor, and that is Mr. Anderson. Come on, are you a man or an amoeba? Mr. Perry.
To communicate.
No.
To express ourselves?
What are we talking about? Now, many of you have seen Shakespeare done
very much like this. Oh, Titus,
bring your friend hither. But if any of you have seen Mr. Spare can be there for France, Romance, Continent, Go to your car, get a flambé for main course, and for dessert, a Pekingese parfait. And you can pick your teeth with a little fork. See, the world looks very different from up here. You don't believe me? Come see for yourselves. Come on. Come on. Boys, you must strive to find your own voice. Because the longer you wait to begin, the less likely you are to find it at all. Mr. Anderson! Don't think that I don't know that this assignment scares the hell out of you. Oh. Let's go! You got it. We will free America.
Dang. It's together.
I'm gonna act. Yes! Yes! I'm gonna be an actor. I remember I wanted to try this. First, I gotta get the parts. Then I can worry about that.
But will he kill you if he finds out you went to an audition and didn't even tell him?
No. Stars don't get to he won't have to know about any of this.
I mean, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Well, why don't you
Maybe.
just go and ask him?
I haven't even gotten the part yet. Can I even enjoy the idea for a little while?
Oh no.
Don't be immature. Come on.
There's a flute now. It's just going off. It's interesting, right? Because it's not like your common story like this, which is why I always think it's interesting, would be like, oh, they're going off and they're gonna go rob something. It's like they're not. Like it's so not that. It's just like kids could be kids, right? Having his sunglasses. Come on, dude, you gotta pull out that Walt Whitman. Let's go.
Oh, the struggle against great odds, to meet enemies undaunted.
Sounds to me like you're daunted. Say it again like you're undaunted.
Oh, to struggle against great odds, to meet enemies undaunted.
Now go on.
Oh, to have life henceforth the poem of new joys.
Come on, Charlie. Do indeed be a god.
This guy, he's the best.
I got the part. Charlie, I got it. Right here, Neil.
I am ready to you on
This is really sketch.
of my son. This is great.
I mean, I don't blame him, but it's just really like
No,
we saw
yeah.
his dad, dude. It's really risky,
Yeah,
dude. Look at that. Isn't it just beautiful?
that is.
Now, who's next?
Oh no.
Mr. Anderson. You're sitting there in agony. Come on, step up. Let's put you out of your misery. Nothing wrong. I think you have something inside of you that is worth a great deal. I sound my are Eric. Come on, you can't yaw sitting down. Let's go. Come on, up. Get in yawping stance. A yaw. No, not just a yaw. A barbaric yaw.
Yo,
Oh, good God, go yell like yaw! There it is. You see? You're a barbarian and you after all. Now, you don't get away that easy. Picture of Uncle Walter there. What does he remind you of? Don't think of names are gone.
I close my eyes.
Yes?
And this image floats beside me.
Sweaty tooth madman.
The sweaty tooth madman with a stare that pounds my brain.
Oh, that's excellent. Now give him action. Make him do it. Forget them. Stay with the blanket. Tell me about that blanket.
You push it, stretch it, it'll never be enough. You kick out it, beat it, it'll never cover any of it. It'll just cover your face as you wail and cry and scream.
That camera shot is so cool. This is such a cool moment, dude.
Interesting.
He's playing rugby? I think they are, right?
I think so.
Or just soccer.
no,
I don't
soccer.
know. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, they don't have any. They don't have any
the
safety
helmets.
or
Not that they would in the 80s anyway, but.
What is that, Neil? It's a lamp made snow. It's the god of the cave. The god of the cave. Charlie. Fucking crying, tumbling, mumbling. Gotta do more. Gotta be more.
I just like the subtle, like the character moment where like he's clearly like covering up playing the saxophone as like a joke, but then there's like a little bit of like legitimate, like genuine expression.
Yeah.
Hello, Chris? Hi, this is Knox Overstreet.
Keep talking, dude.
Well, sure. Okay, great. I'll be there, Chris. Friday night at the damn.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you. Bye. Can you believe it? What is the point? The point, Charlie,
Don't ruin it, Charlie.
is that she was thinking about me.
Yeah.
I've only met her once, and already she's thinking about me. She's going to be mine.
Throws the scarf.
My parents gave me this. Isn't this the same desk? Yeah, they gave me the same thing as last year. But the funny thing is about this is, I didn't even like it the first time. Todd, I think you're underestimating the value. This desk set wants to fly. Todd?
Oh.
Meet Gloria and
Tina.
Tina. This. But
Yeah, dude, you should have known a little bit at least.
Yeah.
Bubba, this guy look like Bus asked you or what? You're his brother. Never heard of him.
Oh no.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
That's so sweet.
Made that up just for you.
No, didn't.
I'll write one for you too, Gloria.
Shakespeare.
Any more where that came from?
Yes.
Yep, there definitely is. Come on, dude. I know, but don't. He's. Shoot. No. That's
Bro, come on.
What the hell are you doing? I know this looks bad.
I mean, he didn't really, but
How did you do that? I'm one of the proofers. I slipped the art bullet. It's over now. Why? Nobody knows who we are. Well, don't you think they're gonna figure out who wrote it?
yeah, dude, that's
They're
so
gonna come
sketchy.
and ask us, what the hell are we doing? All right, but you still shouldn't have done it, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In trouble. You don't speak for the club. Hey,
Yeah.
do you not worry about your precious little neck?
Oh no. Dude. Look at this. It's like just a horde of stuffy old men.
And the problem is, it's like when you're speaking for the group,
You can't do that for the group. You actually
you have to agree with, like,
Yes.
everyone has to, like, communicate.
Rather than spend my valuable time ferreting out the guilty persons, let me assure you I will find them. I'm asking any and all students who know anything about this article to make themselves known here and now.
Open Academy. Hello? Yes, he is. Just a moment. Mr. Nolan, that's for you. It's God. He says we should have girls at Wilton.
Dude. Well, I mean, I think it was his way of
Making it
diverting
up.
the blame, essentially, right?
I mean,
Like, even if you believe in spanking, I think there's something objectively wrong with spanking a 17-year-old.
yeah, like
That's like,
I mean, because at that point you're not.
it's not. It's
Of
like,
course, you're a
that's
child in a sense, but not in that sense.
That's like
you
a
know?
beating. That's not like a
Yeah.
punishment anymore. That's a beating.
I'm to turn everybody in, apologize to the school, and all will be forgiven.
So, what are you gonna do? Charlie,
Damn it, Neil. The name isn't a one.
What was going on in the courtyard the other day?
courtyard.
Yeah, boys marching, clapping in unison.
Oh, that was an exercise to prove a point. Dangers of conformity.
But John, the curriculum here said it's proven it works. If you question it, what's to prevent them from doing the same?
Wait, so if they don't learn then, when do they, like, when do you say they're ready? You know, like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You could talk about it. I mean, I'll talk about it after
Yeah.
too. Obviously, a lot more because I want to watch the movie. But
You're siding with Mr. Nolan? What about Carpe Diem and sucking all the marrow out of life?
Sucking the marrow out of life doesn't mean choking on the bone. See, there's a time for daring, there's a time for caution. And a wise man understands which is called for.
But I thought you'd like that.
Because you'll miss some golden opportunities.
Yeah, like what?
Like, if nothing else, the opportunity to attend my classes.
he's got a point,
yeah,
and I like it.
he's just more mature, right? About
Well,
certain
but
things.
it's not about being stupid. There's more to it.
Yeah. But that's why it's a sense of maturity.
Of
right?
course. And I just think as a movie, like, there's so many coming of age movies, and so I appreciate this having like a nuance, because so often it's they're not as like nuanced, and so it's like, hey, dude,
Of course, yeah.
that's awesome.
Here comes over, Father.
Neil,
Before you say anything, please let me...
dare talk back to me. It's bad enough. How did you expect to get away with this? Answer me.
I don't think he did, to be honest.
Put you up to it. Was it
I think he ignored it.
No, I can't. I have the main part. The performance is tomorrow night.
I don't care if the world comes to an end tomorrow night. You are through with that play. Is that clear?
Is that clear?
I've made a great many sacrifices to get you here, Neil. And you will not let me down.
I mean, he's not doing anything wrong. He has A's. How is he letting you down?
Well, he's letting him down in his eyes in terms of...
Of course, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like he's failing.
What's up?
I just talked to my father. He's making me quit the play at Henley Hall. Acting is everything to me.
Have you ever told your father what you just told me? About your passion for acting? You ever showed him that?
I can't.
Why not?
I can't talk to him this way.
And you're acting for him, too. You're playing the part of the dutiful son.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna keep doing these things if you let him, kind of.
What about the play that shows tomorrow night?
But you have to talk to him before tomorrow night.
There needs to wait.
No.
Dude. This is so
Wowzers.
sketchy. This is like in the morning at school.
Yeah.
Dude.
Because you can't...
Yeah, you can't. You gotta have more finesse than that, bro.
Not just finesse, but you also have to have understanding and...
Well, like, just because the passion is there doesn't mean that...
It's right, yeah. You don't want to just do whatever you want.
With hair and skin of gold. To touch her would be paradise. Nothing? What do you mean, nothing? Nothing. But I need it. What did she say?
I mean, I think, like, that, right? So I think it's more of, like, doing something than necessarily...
I still think there's a method to things. Like,
Of course.
You gotta be careful.
But he's a kid.
No, yeah, that's understandable.
I think he'll let me stay with it. Keep up the schoolwork. Thanks. So, Charlie, what's this getting ready bit? What is that? Chris. What are you doing here? Gentlemen, let's go. Go ahead, guys. I'll get you up. Yes. Come on, guys.
Alex, you have got to stop this stuff.
I can't, Chris. I love you.
Alex, you say that over and over. You don't even know me.
Will you be joining us, Mr. Overstreet? Go ahead, Captain. I'll walk.
Knox, if it just so happens that I could care less about you.
If you don't let me after tonight, I'll stay away forever. I promise. Dead poet's honor. You come with me tonight, and then if you don't want to see me again, I swear I'll bow out.
You are so infuriating.
His face.
And being fed horse from the big aisle. Like it's a Philly fool. Sometimes lurk I in a gossip's bowl, in very likeness of a roasted crab. The watch is good, is a little satisfied. Sometimes a 3-foot stool stay with me. Then slip I from her bum, down tumbles she until her cries and falls into a coffin.
For love and courtesy, lie further off than human modesty. Such separation as may well descend becomes a virtuous bachelor and a maid.
Come on, Neil.
Dude,
Go.
show it.
Come on.
If we shadows have offended, think about this and all is mended. That you have but slumbered here while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme no more yielding but a dream.
I mean, he did kill it.
Mr. Perry, come on! Don't make it any worse than it is.
But I mean, what do you do? Right? Like he
can't do anything.
did the right thing. He told him to talk to his dad before any of it. It's not even like he went behind his back or anything. It's like you can't change that.
We're trying very hard to understand why it is that you insist on defying us. Whatever the reason, we're not going to let you ruin your life. Tomorrow I'm withdrawing you from Welton and enrolling you in Reagan Military School.
That's 10 more years. Father, that's a lifetime!
Stop it. Be so dramatic. You make it sound like a prison term. You don't understand, Neil. You have opportunities that I never even dreamt of, and I am not going to let you... I've got to tell you what I feel. Tell me what you feel. Well, then let's go.
Todd, what is it? What's wrong?
Oh, Neil! Oh, my God! Oh, my son! My son, my poor son!
Todd. Okay, Todd.
It's all right, Todd.
It's okay, Todd. It's all right.
Explain it, Todd.
Who's his father? No. Todd! Leave him be.
I feel like in that situation, everybody kind of like blames himself too, you know?
We've contacted each of your parents to explain the situation. Naturally, they're all quite concerned. At the request of Neil's family, I intend to conduct a thorough inquiry into this matter.
Into what?
Complete cooperation is expected.
Cameron's a think. He's in Nolan's office right now, thinking.
About what?
The club, Pitsy. Think about it. The board of directors, the trustees, and Mr. Nolan.
Yeah,
I mean, in their eyes, I feel like they.
that's true. But also, right, like if your school just failed and that's happened to a kid and there's no reason for it, then it's like, well, your organization is doomed.
If a teacher asks you a question, you tell the truth, you're expelled. He's a rat! He's in it up to his eyes, so he ratted to save himself.
Don't touch him, Charlie.
They're not after us. We're the victims. Us and Neil.
Seriously, dude?
What's it mean? Who are they after? Well, Mr. Keating, of course, the captain himself. Mr. Keating put us up to all this crap, didn't he? If it wasn't for Mr. Keating, Neil would be cozying up in his room right now, studying his chemistry and dreaming of being called. That is not true, Cameron. You know that. He didn't put us up to anything. You just signed your expulsion papers, no wonder.
I mean, at this point, he's not wrong because somebody did say something. So it is almost like it doesn't matter because if one person says it or 8 people says it, he's probably going to get fired anyway.
You know, do what's efficient and self-satisfactory instead of doing what you believe in.
Of course.
Obviously, there's always a smart way.
It's a gray. This is it's not like a.
Well, yeah.
Because somebody already said something, it is a gray situation.
Yeah. The problem is them not standing up now will. It's the reason them not standing up at this time is like one of the reasons why.
What's that?
Yeah.
What happened.
I have here a detailed description of what occurred at your meetings. It describes how your teacher, Mr. Keating, encouraged you boys to organize this club and to use it as a source of inspiration, when he knew all along it was against the explicit orders of Neil's parents. It was Mr. Keating's blatant abuse of his position as teacher that led directly to Neil Perry's death. If you've nothing to add or amend, sign it.
What's going to happen to Mr. Keating?
I've had to sign the paper, Todd.
Understanding Poetry by Dr. J. Evans Pritchard, Ph.D. To fully understand poetry, we must first be fluent with its meter, rhyme, and figures of speech. How important is that objective? Question 1 rates the poem's perfection. Question 2 rates its importance. And once these questions have been answered, determining the poem's greatness a relatively simple matter.
They made everybody Mr. Anderson.
You gotta believe me, it's true.
I don't believe you, Tom.
Leave, Mr. Keating.
But it wasn't his fault.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson. One more outburst from you or anyone else, and you're out of this school.
Captain, my captain.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson. You hear me? Stepping. Captain, my captain. Now, both of you, I want you seated. Sit down. Leave, Mr. Keating.
Thank you, boys. Thank you.
That's a good movie, right?
That's a good movie.
That's powerful, right?
Yeah.
Dang. What you think?
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot
There's a
to
lot to
say.
talk about.
There's so much. For one, this is obviously relatable in a sense to us. I feel like, and sort of that whole obviously private school.
Oh yeah,
aesthetic,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah.
And so the one thing that I really enjoy about it, that it's very real,
Yeah.
right? It's not like cartoony, like to a point where it's like, they're so
Not overly
serious to
dramatic.
a point that it's like funny almost, right?
No.
It's like, no, it's real.
It's very real.
It's very real, and it's serious.
Yeah.
They don't try to lessen the seriousness of it. They don't try to make it a comedic point. And I like that. I like that also, the way that his... What's his name? Todd? I like how he's kind of... he's the more, quiet type.
Timid, yeah.
And I like that. A lot of times it reminds me of the more awkward characters, kind of like Newt and what am I forgetting? Spider-Man's Tobey
Parker?
Maguire.
Or
Yeah,
Tobey
but
Maguire?
Tobey.
Yeah.
Right, his sort of like
Yeah.
the style is a lot more like that, and we don't usually get that.
No,
right?
no,
It's
we don't.
normally a more, I feel like, outgoing sort of character, and I liked,
I like that we follow both though, because it is kind of him and Neil. They're both kind of the main character.
Yeah, but it's also kind of through Todd's eyes.
Yes,
kind of like,
yes, which is cool.
like
It
his
feels like a
friend.
book almost.
Yeah. And of course, Mr. What's his name?
Keating.
Keating?
Yeah.
Okay. I like how his teaching was just reasonable and not like skewed in any direction, right? I feel like it's
Yeah.
very like, obviously he probably went through that school and like experienced things and realized that,
Or maybe he had a good teacher, or
that's
like,
true. It could be. But he might want to say, "Hey, like, this is what I believe in," and it's not like, "Oh, just run off and screw everything, do whatever you want," sort of.
No, and it's not even his ideals, which I think is cool. It's like, that's why I love this movie, because it skirts that line so like I would be wrong if he was like, "This is what I think, boys." It's like, it wasn't that. It was really just like, look, not everybody is objectively going to respond to a textbook learning. These are kids. Not that I'm much older, but like, you know what I mean? Like these are kids. Like, you have to teach them. You have to engage them.
Well, I think,
or they're not going to learn anything.
Yeah. There's so many ideas. It's kind of like,
There's a lot. It's a heavily packed movie.
yeah. To begin with, the idea of him teaching his, I feel like it is like his philosophy of everyone sort of thinks in their own way, and
Yeah.
if you try to kill it, you essentially aren't learning anything.
You're just memorizing.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you either learn in your own way or you have different passions. And he, while he's teaching English and literature and things, right? He's not just saying, okay, this text right here, you're going to read it, you're going to memorize it, or you're going to understand it this way. No, he's kind of trying to give them something that they are going to appreciate and utilize, you know?
Yeah.
Not just simply doing something for the heck of it, you know, or for the grade itself.
Yeah.
It's more of it's almost like a life lesson, you know, where I feel like in a lot of circumstances, that is the best way to teach.
Yeah,
because
I think he has an understanding of like engaging with them on their own. Because I think it's important to see that like some of the people standing on their desks were not in the Dead Poets Society.
Oh yeah, no.
Like I guarantee you, some of those kids standing on the desk didn't like poetry or didn't care about poetry. But I think that like I've experienced this being taught, where somebody who's willing to engage, like they're not gonna pretend like, oh, you guys love school, right? Like they're willing to engage with you on your level. And even like the opening thing he says in his class, where he's like, look, I agree, this doesn't seem like it has a point. Maybe it doesn't, but let me tell you why I think it has a point. And it's like already right there, now you're not just like somebody regurgitating your text. You're a human who also went through school and who also felt the same things I thought. And maybe, like, I've had I'm not a big history person, and I had a history teacher who taught me, and it was the exact same thing. I don't like history. I didn't come out of his class liking history. But I liked it more because I could tell he really liked history when he taught.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really care too much about it. But it was much more enjoyable, and I learned more because even if you don't appreciate their passion, or even if you don't have the same passion they do, you can see they have a passion. Like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, but especially with certain things like English literature, whatever, history, like, you can teach in a way that, you know, at least he is trying to teach in a way that they will appreciate in a way.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you will never, like, pick up that book again or anything, the lessons taught there are things that you can use in life, right?
Yeah.
And even if you don't agree, it gets you thinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things is, like, you know, thinking. You don't just want to, you know, drone out and just follow things along. You have to think for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge and important lesson that is, like, you know, required for daily life that is usually not taught.
Yeah.
Because you're focused too much on, you know, just the letter of the law, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's cool to see that he was trying to invoke a sort of, you know, we got to think more about things. Why are we trying to learn this? You know, what is the reason? And then, but not going the complete opposite of direction of screw everything, you know, screw anything that you ever learn in your textbooks. It's just complete garbage.
He was still teaching them.
Yes, it's like, no, there's something to it. You just don't want to go too far, you know, with certain things. Yeah. And I like that. You know, he's like, think about it. Don't just be dumb. Yeah. You know? That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's I mean, this is getting a little deep, but hey, if you guys are still here for this, let's go for it.
No, yeah, we're going to keep going.
I think I have always been fascinated because I don't know, as kids, like, have you ever had that moment where you're like, your parent and you aren't connecting and you're like, weren't you like a teenager? I don't know. Have you ever had that moment? I feel like that's a very common theme for a lot of kids, teenagers, whatever. And I've always been fascinated with that idea, and I feel like this movie says a lot about that, in the idea that your present is kind of the only way you see life a little bit. And so as a parent, or just older, I mean, I feel my tendency to do this with like somebody who's like 5. You have a hard time registering the world through their eyes. But then on the opposite sense, which I think is really important for this movie, is it's like, you know, if I see a 5-year-old who doesn't get a piece of chocolate, I'm like, not a big deal. But to that 5-year-old, it is the world. It truly is the world. And so obviously you can't put yourself in their shoes, but you have to understand that. And that's why, because some people say like the Neil offing himself is like dramatic, but to me, I'm like, look, if you're a little older, you may be like, look, that's not necessary. But to him, there was nothing else. Like, that was the end of it all. He was backed into a corner. Yeah. That was the end of the world. And because his father, and I think it's important to note like how torn up his father was when he died too. It wasn't as simple as like, oh, this is a father who's not at home or who beats him. It's like he cared for him, but he failed him because he wasn't able to recognize that he's not a 40-year-old man.
Yeah.
He's 17.
Yeah, I mean...
And I think that's so profound.
Well, yeah, I mean, to whoever says that him offing himself is dramatic, I feel like they are the same way as his father. They do not understand.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know if that far, but yes, it's the same idea.
It's like that. It's not understanding what others see.
Yeah.
Different perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is real. This happens so much, right?
Yes.
Especially in, like, Japan, like, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you said, like, to a kid, there are things that, are massive, right? Just like as a kid, you see your parents as like these gods, you're like, oh my gosh, they can do anything. Whereas as you get to grow up and mature and experience things, you start to understand the big picture, right?
Yeah.
But to younger people, things are bigger than they actually are. And you have to understand that, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't mean they're not wrong, right? So that's why I like the balance of this.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't mean that they're not wrong, but you can't treat it like that's not a reality for them either.
Yes, it's literally real to them.
Yes.
Right? And so you have to try your best to understand that and go back to when you were a kid. Maybe there were things that you thought were huge,
Yeah.
and you thought were, very important, that later on you started to understand that it wasn't that big of a deal, But you have to understand that, hey, at the time I didn't know that. It was only with time, with experience, that I was able to, understand maybe getting an F and failing that class wasn't the biggest deal. It wasn't the end of the world, Whereas as a teen, you're like, holy crap, I failed a class. It's time to jump out a window, right?
Yeah.
It's like that.
No, it is. It is. There are times that it really is like that. And that's why, but you see it all over. Like, even not an extreme in the movie. Like, the guy, I don't remember all the names, but the guy with the girl. It's like, look, is that even gonna last? Like was that the love of his life? Probably not. Probably not. They probably dated for like a year, maybe. Right? But it's like, it still doesn't mean that he legitimately couldn't focus on his life because he saw some cute girl. And even, like, I think the most important part is Keating, like Robin Williams' character, being able to recognize, like them all signing the thing. I really like that they did that, to be honest, because the classic movie thing would be for them to not, but they're kids. Heck, I don't know what I would do. Like, I would hope that I would stand up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I like that even when they do that, he understands, because he does understand how scary it is, and he understands that there's a principal and their parents, and they don't know what's going to happen if they get expelled because they're 17.
Yeah.
And he suffers for it, but he understands, and I think that's so, like, powerful.
Yeah. I mean, he himself looks through their eyes and understands that it is hard to stand up.
Yeah.
Especially at that age when, the mature people are against you.
Yeah.
It's tough. And I think one of the biggest themes also is this whole idea of wanting to be great or successful, right? The whole school's, like, reason for being is to train up these, well, obviously maybe for money and, like, business, okay, whatever, but aside from that, it is to train these young men into becoming someone that obviously can try to contribute or be successful.
Yeah,
just in society, right?
Because it's hard to gauge. That's right. It's that weird thing of it's like being obsessed about getting a good grade, even though you should just be learning the science. It's weird, but that's how it becomes, right? It becomes success because success, as evil as it is, has become our measure of success.
Well, it's
like,
like
if you do well in your job, they feel like they've done well as a school, which may not necessarily be true, but that's the only meter in the world.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, the parents, they send their kids to the school. Obviously, they love them. They're not, like, terrible. Like, otherwise, I don't think they would send them to the school,
they
right?
wouldn't. Yeah.
A lot of them, like they said, had to make sacrifices probably to ensure that the student or the kid is able to get in, right?
Yeah.
And so they want to, make sure that as the kid is growing up, they are able to provide for themselves, maybe even be proud of themselves, right?
Of course, yeah.
But it's always, it's this idea of, what success actually is in life. You know, what exactly does it mean to succeed? Like, if you are this super rich person, are you succeeding? What if you're very unhappy?
Yeah.
Right? What if you always wanted to be, I don't know, an astronaut or something? Are you truly succeeding if you give that up, right? And never try for that and end up working maybe, you know, just an office job and kind of, I don't know, being kind of happy or something, or maybe not happy.
Yeah.
Like, are you truly succeeding? You know, because then it goes to question like, well, then what is succeeding, right? Ultimately, everyone wants to be kind of happy in their life, don't they?
Yeah.
Or they want to, you know, help other people or whatnot, right? But in the end, that all spurs from yourself. You know, you have to decide, okay, well, what do I want to do? What makes me happy, right? And I feel like a lot of the, you know, even now, like a lot of parents don't really understand that whole idea of like life and succeeding and things like that, right?
That, or which is why I think this movie is like so high for me, is because it captures that balance. Because I do think there are parents like that, and then I do think there's the opposite end, where it's
obviously.
It's like, this person is whatever, this person's 5, you're 20, like, okay, right? Like, there's gonna be a deficit as far as what do you think the right thing is, what, you know, actually is. Like, there's a way to go to the extreme of like just being like, oh, I let my child do whatever they want.
Of course, 100%. But it's kind of like, you know, here we see the other extreme of, you know, complete control, I guess you could say, over someone's life at an age where, you know, they can rationally think for themselves and make decisions, right? And I feel like even though you might have the best intentions, ultimately you won't reach your goal if you don't understand the person you are trying to, you know, build up almost. You know? Of course it works at times. You know, sometimes you need...
Well, there's some people it works for, to be fair.
Yeah, it depends on the person, right? A lot of times.
Yes.
And, you know, like, some people can't do independent studies and some people can. It's like, okay, what type of person are you?
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel like, you know, it's been proven, or, you know, whatever. So a lot of people do it, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like you can't really... Like, can you really blame the parents in a way? Like, I don't know. Like, who is there to blame?
Well, no, they have a point, and it's just, I think the like the huge distinction that you have to make is that if you look at Mr. Keating and what he's doing, he is not just completely catering to the kids. He's not letting them run the classroom.
Yeah.
But by talking to them on their level, they respect him, which I've seen this a million times in classrooms where it's like, if you can't get a class to respect you, I don't care how good you are at getting them to shut up, they're not gonna learn anything, dude. Like that.
Yeah.
Which is why I totally respect the job of a teacher, because that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's this idea of, look, you have to let them do their thing, but you have to guide them.
Yeah.
And so, but you can't force them, because then it's not gonna stick. It really isn't gonna stick. You just have to guide them in the direction that you think is right, and you have to push them. Like, the same with Robin Williams and Neil. I think it's super powerful. When Neil doesn't want to talk to his dad, and he pushes him to talk to his dad, because it is the right thing. And so it's this idea of, like, you know, you need to understand that they're kids, and so you can't have rules about everything. They want to go and like what did they do wrong? Like, think about it. Like, actually, like, they were all still getting great grades. They were all doing this thing, and it's like, okay, they screw around a little bit. They snuck out at night. They read some poetry. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. And it was completely well-intentioned. It wasn't even, like, rebellious, where it was like, oh, F the system. Like,
yeah.
I mean, so you just have to guide them, and you have to leave a little bit of room for stuff like that, because it's going to happen, because that's the point. And I feel like, you know, it's an extreme way of teaching that lesson, but the idea of, like, look, if you don't, especially with certain people, you can't just beat that down. That lashing out, that feeling of whatever, that is so real to somebody at 17, needs to be expressed.
Yeah.
And So it won't disappear. And so obviously you need to make sure that it's in the right direction. You don't want it to be completely wrong, but you need to let it happen. Because if you don't, maybe something worse is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot confine them or constrict them so much,
Yeah.
It's like, obviously there is, experience that a parent has. And yes, you need to teach a kid that. Like, you know stuff. But you cannot, be so controlling that you take away a person's individuality,
Yeah.
You can't treat them like a robot, because they aren't, they're different.
And I think there's just some things that you have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Like, there are lessons that your parents will tell you where you totally eat it. Like, I've had that where you're like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. And then you're like, nah, you were totally right. But you had to do it yourself, and you had to fall on your face, and then you had to be like, all right, totally wrong. My bad.
Yeah.
That's just part of growing up. That's part of life.
Yeah, and I feel like it also shows, that even as adults, you are still a kid a lot of times. You're still learning.
Yeah, but just because you're an adult, you don't know everything. And that doesn't mean screw all the adult figures in your life.
No.
That is something that you have to understand, that it's like, look, with parents, with everybody, they're doing their best.
Yeah, they're all humans. And
they're human. Yeah.
I feel like if you really want to affect someone's life, you have to earn that sort of respect.
Which is why I feel like the danger, the way to, at least the way I would summarize, this movie, kind of, the danger is the lack of openness. And that covers the being incredibly loose, incredibly tight, everything, right? Like, where it gets really dangerous is where you aren't open to anything else besides what you're saying.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean you need to take the advice of everything, but that willingness to listen, whether it's to your kid, whether it's to the other teacher, whether it's to a different teaching method, whether it's whatever, that is bad. And that can result in maybe a super small thing that doesn't do anything, or really bad things.
Yeah.
And it's just like that, as humans going through life, however old we may be, I feel like that's something that you have to strive to do. Just like you strive to do the right thing or whatever. And it's like, look, if you think you're doing the right thing, then there should be no fear in being open.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like you're doing the right thing, then you're not going to be wrong. And if you're not being open, I think that there's a point where you need to reflect on why you're afraid to open.
Yeah.
Because then maybe you're wrong. But I don't know. That's a really good movie. That's really powerful.
Yeah, that was a strong one.
Yeah. So yeah, as always, thank you guys for joining us. The full-length reaction is going to be up on Patreon if you guys want to go check that out. Thank you for the Patreon request, and we will see you all in the next video.